Okay, so I've got my space there starting to come together, and you can see though that it's open at the top, and now I need to enclose that finally with a ceiling, and so it's a good chance to look at also these things called ceiling plans, which you've probably noticed in your project browser under floor plans. So firstly we've got floor plans, which you've all been working with, and the ground floor plan is going to show me my basic layout there. Now I'm going to go to the ground floor ceiling plan, and you can see that we can see all of the walls, but we can't see what's below the walls, in other words the floor, because the ceiling plan looks up, not down. So I'm going to show you how you control what you see in the ceiling plan first before I make a ceiling. And just to explain though what a ceiling plan is, I'm going to open up a section view. The only section I have, section 1. Again, so that you can see, again, how a ceiling plan works. So we've got, again, the ground floor level. And notice that in my ceiling plans, I've of course got a ceiling plan for that. Now, what you'll probably have, if you haven't deleted them, I'll show you what you'll have. You'll have a ceiling plan, probably called ceiling. And it's tempting to open that when you want to work on the ceiling. Now what can I see there? Nothing, except the reference planes. And the reason is, a ceiling plan is a reflected ceiling plan, or it's a reflected plan. So the way a reflected plan works is that it's cutting through at the same height as your floor plan, but then it looks up instead of down. And it's looking in a reflection, not a direct projection. Now that won't make a lot of sense to you until you've drawn a few. But again, I'll just try to explain it with the, again, ground floor ceiling plan, not the ceiling plan. The ceiling plan would be cutting through just like a floor plan. So remember, a floor plan cuts through at a certain height above that level. So a ceiling plan cuts through, if I look at the ceiling plan, it cuts through above that level, so here, about there, and looks up into empty space. That's why we can't see anything. So I'll go back to the ground floor ceiling plan, and I can see my walls. So how do I control then what I can see? You go down in the view properties and you'll see this option for view range. And if I click edit, then it's going to show you this pretty new feature actually. When you click on show, it shows you how view range works. So here again, number 2 is what I was just talking about with the cut through. But again, with a ceiling plan it looks up, with a floor plan it looks down. And remember that idea of being reflected. So I'm not going to change any settings yet. What I'm going to do is first make a ceiling, and then it'll maybe be a bit clearer to you why you need to understand those things. So I'll click on, again, in architecture. I'm going to go to ceiling. Won't be long. Yeah, of course. Okay, so with the ceiling tool.
You're not going to be able to because all the computers
Oh yeah, it won't be long though. Once I finish, it'll be fine. Okay, so again, when I click on the ceiling tool, you can see we've got this option for automatic ceiling. I'm going to straight away change that to sketch ceiling, and then you'll see you get the same options that you have when you're making a floor or a roof. You can draw any shape you want, or you can use pick walls. So I'll use pick walls because I've got walls that I can pick. So I'm going to pick the edge of my walls where I want the ceiling to go around. So I'll pick these walls going around my little WC cubicle, and then just like making a floor or a roof, we've got to trim those lines together so that it forms a closed shape. And there we are. So that will work as a ceiling. But I'm going to change a couple of properties first. To set the height over here, I'm going to change the level to my ceiling level. I've of course made that level for the ceiling. And then I want the ceiling to sit on that level, so I'm going to change the height offset to 0. So it sits again at that ceiling height. So that's done. I'm going to click tick to finish. And then, let's see if I can find it. No. Okay, that's what I wanted. So now, I'm going to do something. You don't have to do this straight away, but just so you can see that I can prove to you that the ceiling isn't visible, even though it's there. I've made the ceiling. I'm going to do a couple of things. I'll go to the 3D view, and you can see my ceiling is definitely there. But if I go back to that ground floor ceiling plan, where I should be able to see the ceiling, the whole point of the ceiling plan is that we can see the ceiling, I know that I can't. And to prove that to you, I'm going to make a light. You don't have to make any lights as yet, but you will for the next project. So that's what I'm preparing you for. So I'll just put in one of these spotlights. Not working. When we see that symbol, it means we can't place a light. The reason it won't let me place a light is that it can't see the ceiling. It's not visible. Now you might be thinking, well, I can click on that reveal button to show it. It's still not going to work. So it's, again, all to do with that view range option. So again, going down into view properties, in other words, here in properties, view range, click edit, and you can see here from this setting why we've got that problem. So the top is that ceiling level. Even though the ceiling sits exactly at that height, it's technically just above, so it won't let us see it. All I need to do to make it visible is increase that, either by putting in, say, an offset. I can make it 200, and then, well, I'll show you. If I then click OK, it'll tell me view depth needs to be, well, it's telling me set below the top clip plane. This is top. So what it means is I need to make the view depth at least as high as the top. So when you're in a ceiling plan, view depth is actually up, not down. So here, I'm going to change that offset to the same as I did for the top. That easy. So I click OK now, and again, just to test it out, I'll go to place a light, and it's working. You don't need to place a light. I'm just showing you that the ceiling is there. Oh, the view depth. I'll show you that again. Okay, so here again, if we go to, with view range, click edit, and just make sure you've got 200 for the view depth and the top.
Is that in your video?
Oh yes, it's all being recorded.
Yeah.
Yep.
Danny, how come you didn't go to the ceiling and look at bathroom, the toilet, sorry?
Oh, that will be a separate ceiling. So I'm going to repeat it now and make another ceiling in that area. So ceilings tend to go inside walls. Yeah, the walls go up outside. Yeah. So I'll make another one just to repeat that process. So I'll click on ceiling again. And now you can see I've got this option automatic ceiling. And you can see it's going to find my walls. I'll just give you a little tip there. If I change the level to ceiling, which is the height we want it to be at, it's not going to find the walls anymore because the walls are below the ceiling level. Yeah. So that's okay. I can go to sketch ceiling. Annoyingly, it goes back to ground floor level, so you need to just keep an eye on your levels. And then either with pick walls or any of the shape tools, I can draw another ceiling. Remember, if the line goes on the side of the wall that you don't want it to, you can flip it with that arrow. And then now again, I can use trim to join those lines together. There we go. Yeah, that's right. It should be on the ceiling level in properties, but it's really important that you draw it in the ground floor ceiling plan. That's the key concept. So now, again, in the 3D view, we can of course see the ceiling. We can see both of them. And later, we'd actually bring those walls up a little bit. But that's for later. So finally, to work in this 3D view now, it's probably easier to have the ceilings hidden. So I've just selected them both. And then when you right click, hide in view, elements, now I can see through them again.
Can you show us how to find when you've got hidden
Exactly, yeah, so that's the next thing. So then to bring them back, if you click on the light bulb, you'll see anything that's hidden, and you can select those things and then unhide element. And I'll just bring the one back. So again, with the light bulb, that's your reveal button. Hopefully you're using that already, but again, I'll turn that off. Oh no, oh right, okay, well that's how you find hidden and unhidden things. So we did look at that with the house, but yeah, so have a go with that one. And then, yeah, so if you again select that, well, so you can do this in reveal mode. When you click on the light bulb, essentially you're turning on reveal mode. You're showing the things that, revealing the things that are hidden. So now I can see that ceiling again, of course, but if I want to hide it again, just to repeat that, select it, right click, hide in view elements. If you have a look in the notes that I gave you for the house, it tells you the shortcuts for those as well. So there we are. So then again in the ceiling plan, we can't see anything. So do I need to keep that?
No.
No. So this just shows you the views are not the same as your levels. You can delete views if you don't need them. It doesn't mean you're deleting the level. So I'm not deleting the ceiling level. I'm deleting the ceiling plan. By right-clicking there, I can just choose delete. No problem. And so now, maybe just to finish off, I'll go back to the ground floor plan. And if I was to render this interior, it'd be black because there's no light, no way light can come into this space now. It's completely enclosed. So just to finish this off and set it up for the rendering, which I'll do next, now I'm going to go just with the door tool, load family. No, I'll do that later. That's a bit more involved. So I'm just going to put a simple door in. So in the default library, doors, you've got these 2-panel, 3-panel, 4-panel, you can see they're Oz, so they're set up for Australia, doors. You can use any of those. They're actually pretty good, these ones. So I'll double click on one of them. I'll go for the 4-panel. And then I'll just click to place one. Maybe do another one over here. And they work pretty well. If you want to change the size of those, just like you have been with the doors and windows that you've used before, select it, go to edit type, and you can adjust all of those properties, the width and the height, for example. You can duplicate, yeah, but I'm not going to because I want them both to change. So it's good to think about when you need to duplicate, and you probably would in many cases, but you don't always have to. So here, maybe I want the height to be more as well, 2400. And so because I didn't choose duplicate, if I click OK, they'll both change because they're both the same type.
So I mean, if you wanted to insert it again, it would come in as that. If you just say you wanted to put the exact same door, I don't know.
Exactly, it would. Yes, absolutely, yeah. So if I go to choose the door tool again now, it's still the same type. So notice it doesn't say the size because that's not the name, it's type 1. I've only got one type at the moment. And yeah, it's got that size that I put in. Yeah, exactly. So again, in my 3D view now we can see into the interior through the doors. And I'll come back to you later and go through rendering now that we've got that set up. So I'll do decals first, but then we can have a look at rendering. They're doors. No, they're doors, yeah. Sliding doors. Oh, no, I'll put a deck out there, of course, yeah. I'll do a deck, yeah. So you can just put a deck in with the same modelling tools you've used before, just extrusions. Yeah, it's good to think about that. And yeah, now look, I know it might not seem all that private, but if you use screening and also think about other ways you could maintain privacy with frosted glass, so. Yeah, exactly, yeah, decals, louvers, external louvers are pretty common these days. And, you know, if you've been up to Byron or places like that, there are plenty of hotels and places there that have outdoor bathrooms. So lots of people want them now in the city. As long as you've got a courtyard or something like this around it, it's fine. So the worst thing though is when you've got toilets that don't have privacy. That's horrible.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is. So enclose those, but the bath, I think it's fine if you have the bath open. It's okay.